Welcome to EnergyVaasaTalk and a webinar that focuses on sustainable workplaces of the future. Today is also a special day because we will hand out the prize for Gender Equality Company of the Year, and that's for the first time in Finland. We will discuss sustainability from different perspectives, from the environmental, from the economic and from social sustainability perspectives. And of course, these are big and complex questions, and I'm very happy to welcome experienced decision makers and business leaders into the conversation. My name is Annakarin Nyberg. I live in Umeå and I've been working at the university in Umeå for over 22 years as a teacher and a researcher and also as a leader. I'm also a writer and a business developer within cultural and creative industries. And I'm very happy to be here with you today, and I am really looking forward to the conversations. With me, I have, in alphabetical order, Annele Heikkilä, Competence Manager at Boliden Kokkola, Hannu Mäntymaa, Managing Director at Wärtsilä in Finland, Jutta Urpilainen, Commissioner, International Partnerships in the European Commission, Katarina Borstedt, Director of Growth at Northvolt here in Sweden, and Martin Ärlestig, EVP Production and CAO at Komatsu Forest here in Sweden, Roleff Kråkström, CEO and at Moomin Characters in Finland, and finally Blomqvist, who is the Minister for Nordic Cooperation and Equality. And we also have with us Linda Saukko-Rauta, who will draw live and interpret what is happening during this hour. And it will be extremely exciting to see what emerges, how our conversation is interpreted. So in an hour approximately, we will be able to see the results. And every now and then, the technicians will show her work on the screen, so you will be able to follow her work during this webinar. Well, as you can see, we have a number of large industries with us today, and one of the purposes of this day is for the big ones to inspire the smaller ones and to inspire to create sustainable workplaces, to share experiences and to spread knowledge. And before we start the conversation, I would like to take the opportunity to exchange a few words with Triinu Varblane, who is the studio host in Vaasa in Finland. And she, together with her hardworking colleagues, has made this afternoon possible. So this event is arranged through the cross-border project Future Cleantech Solutions. Welcome, Triinu, and first of all, congratulations to an impressive lineup of speakers. You represent the project Future Cleantech Solutions. Please tell us a little bit about the project.
First of all, also, Annakarin, thank you. So lovely to have you as our moderator today. But it's an Interreg Botnia Atlantica project between Finland and Sweden. We have been working already for 2 years, and this is actually our final year. We are 6 partners, and we are financed by 13 organizations, which support clean tech companies in different business sectors, sharing information and connecting small and medium-sized companies with ongoing large-scale investments. We are also working with cluster development and gender equality.
Sounds really interesting and important, of course. Can you please tell us a little bit about the progress of the work?
As we all know, last 12 months has been challenging time for all of us. But we found new solutions, changed all our activities to online, and we have been able to continue working closely with companies 100% remotely. As a big surprise to all of us, we won a very nice prize among other EU projects in Arctic area for overcoming critical mass and working with gender equality. And today we can also be part of another great moment here with inspiring discussions and a historical prize.
Congratulations. Before we move on, I'm quite curious. I know that we have we're standing in front of a quite large digital audience. Can you tell us who follows our webinar right now?
Let's see. We are happy to see that there are so many people all over Finland and Sweden taking part of this event, but also the last information I received that we have nine different other countries with us, so welcome for this session. But also we have a huge amount of participants from small and medium-sized companies, development organizations, and also universities and public sector. So it's so nice to see that sustainability combines us all.
Indeed, it is. Thank you. Before I let you go, I would like to hear you tell me a little bit about what are your expectations for this afternoon?
My expectations. Open-minded and personal discussions, new ideas for our own working environments, maybe even find new solutions. And finally, I would really like to know who is the winning company of this historical prize in gender equality in Finland.
So do I. Thank you very much, Triinu Varblane. I will get back to you later on in this talk. Thank you very much. And now I would like to say welcome to Thomas Blomqvist, the Minister for Nordic Cooperation and Equality. Welcome into the discussion, Thomas.
Nice.
I understand that there are many commitments to prioritize among, and you have chosen to be with us today, and we are very happy about that, of course. Why would you say that this type of conference is important, and for whom?
Well, I'm very glad I can participate in this event. I think it's important because sustainability has become an increasingly important factor, not just for politics, but also companies and the private sector during the recent years. And ecological, social and economic sustainability is also a key theme for our government as well as for the Nordic cooperation. And events like this offer companies of different size a chance to get involved and participate in the discussion on sustainability and to exchange best practices. And after all, sustainability is something we can only achieve if we work together.
Right. Thank you. I know that many of the discussions that we will, or many of the issues that we will be discussing this afternoon would most likely have been discussed a bit differently if it were not for the pandemic that broke out over a year ago. I would like you to help us paint the picture of what was high on the agenda before the outbreak of the pandemic. Help us put today's conversation into perspective. What were the key issues regarding future sustainable workplaces? What was important a year ago?
Well, it's clear that the pandemic has affected us all and has had a great impact also on working life, and it's even hard to remember what we discussed before the pandemic, but we know also that exceptional times treat different people very differently, and fostering gender equality, for example, and non-discrimination is important during turbulent times, and our goals, but also challenges remain quite similar as before the pandemic. What we see is that the pandemic in many ways make the challenges bigger, but they are the same as before. In terms of equality, for example, we have been working to strengthen equal pay, well-being at work, and secure working conditions already before the pandemic, and we are continuing doing this job. And since the pandemic, we have had significant decline in employment, especially affecting the female-dominated service sector and those in fixed term and part-time deployment. And these were important questions even before the pandemic. The employment, for example, was one of the biggest questions for our government before the pandemic, and it is even more important just now. And the pressure on the healthcare sector has also increased. We discussed the healthcare in many ways, not least the reform before the pandemic. It is still very important to discuss the healthcare sector, and of course balancing working life and household and care duties has for many people, especially women, become more challenging during the pandemic with all distance working and education. And I think that in the future workplaces, it is still important as ever to prevent discrimination and promote gender equality. These were questions before the pandemic, and they are even more important now. We are working with these questions. We were working before the pandemic, we are working during the pandemic, and we will work with these questions after the pandemic.
Thank you. Before I let you go, for you as a Minister for Nordic Cooperation and Equality, what would you say would be an ideal image of a future sustainable workplace?
Well, I think the companies knows this maybe better than I do, but and I think also that the answer is varies from for different people and different workplaces. But I could mention a few aspects I think will become even more important in the future after the pandemic. I think well-being and equality will be very important, and I think companies also do better if their employees do well. And this means workplaces that work for everyone, and workplaces where we can take gender equality and anti-discrimination into account. Secondly, I think ecological sustainability will be very important. We are becoming more and more aware of our impact on the planet we all share, and I believe sustainable solutions are something both individuals, employees, and companies will look for even more in the future. And the third thing I would mention is cooperation. This is one example of cooperation, but I think as the world is becoming more globalized, despite the current situation with the COVID-19, finding common solutions and cooperating across borders will become even more important in the future. There was some remarks on that question.
Thank you very much, Thomas. And we know that you will return later in the program when it's time to pick a winner, the prize for the Gender Equality Company of the Year. So I say thank you for now, and I say welcome back later on. Thank you.
Thank you.
So in preparation for this webinar, I've been told that the conditions for creating future sustainable workplaces have changed dramatically during this past year, and that we now need to work together purposely towards a green, digital, fair and resilient world. And when we are in the middle of the pandemic, it's close at hand, of course, to focus on challenges. With respect to the enormous challenges that pandemic brings and has brought with regards to everyone who has become ill, all companies that collapse or are struggling to survive without in any way neglecting these enormous challenges, I would want us to turn the issue around. I would like to challenge all of my speakers now to think what during this pandemic has taken us forward, perhaps even in a direction towards the ideal image that Thomas paints. In what ways can we say that pandemic has pushed development towards a more sustainable workplace? And I would like to start to say welcome to Katarina Borstedt, Director of Growth at Northvolt. I want to warmly welcome you into the conversation. Hello, Katarina.
Hi, and thank you.
I know that you are very busy with a big challenge. You are about to establish a huge factory in Skellefteå, and I know that we will return to that later on. But my first question to you is it possible to think that the consequences of the pandemic in any respect have stimulated or forced change that is not only negative, that we even pushed forward a development? What do you say?
Yes, I would say so. I would say it's both from the perspective that people are maybe more aware, and it's more important for people that the company that they work for and the thing that all the time they spent at work, that it's contributing to something that is something that you can really feel aligned to. So the company's vision, mission, and the reason for why it exists, that becomes more and more important. And for us, that is a really mission-driven company or vision-driven company wanting to really enable the transition to a more sustainable future. This is super important for us, of course, and we see a great interest in joining this kind of new green industry that we are developing. But I also see that we now see a shift from urbanization to people actually moving out of the larger cities. Also, maybe due to the possibility to work remotely, but also the possibility you have started to appreciate the things that is not in the cities, but out in nature and so on. And with all the expansion that is happening up in the north of Sweden and north of all the Nordic countries, I think this is also a very positive development for us and an opportunity for us to be able to attract the people that is needed to continue the growth, and also to be able to grow the municipalities and the cities in our northern countries.
Thank you very much, Katarina Borstedt. Stay with me, please. And we will invite Roleff Kråkström to the discussion, who works at the Moomin Characters as a CIO, and it's a business that has increased with, did you say 1,000% during the last 10 years?
Thank you for having me today. I was muted is, I think, the phrase I've said most the last 12 months or so. But it's a great pleasure being here today. And you got that right. We've been growing tremendously, almost at a violent pace the last 10, 15 years. And actually continuously more than 5 years.
In the crowd of companies that are represented today, it's fantastic to have you as a representative for the cultural and the creative industry in the conversation, because it's in the cross-industry collaborations and discussions and exchanges that we have a lot to gain when we shape tomorrow's conditions. So once again, I want to say warm welcome to this conversation. I listened to you during the press conference this morning, and we talked about the crisis, and I thought crisis makes us stop and reflect, and sometimes we get a little wiser. What would you say have changed the workplaces in some respect that you want to see exist post-COVID in the future? Have you become wiser?
Well, I think in a crisis like this, where people's perception of safety, trust, functioning society are questioned, the Nordic countries excel. Because if you look at our children's literature, where Tove Jansson or Astrid Lindgren or some others are sort of prime examples, they were born out of a completely new world order created in the Nordics just after 1900. Tove Jansson was born in 1914, only a few years after Finland, as the first country in the world, gave women full political rights. Her mother couldn't buy real estate or apply for a job or decide what she wanted to study herself. Tove could, and she did. And still, 20 years after her death, changes the world with her sharp pen. And this has been possible only in the Nordics. Again, sort of post-crisis, I think that the Nordics will have a very poignant role in building up society after this crisis, because our societies are based on equality, tolerance, inclusiveness, trust, sort of legislative power over decision making. And that is unique in the world. And that creates narratives, storytelling, literature, art that carries these values. And it has a sort of unique roadmapiness quality in the world, which is more valuable now than ever before. And usually we're doing fantastically well and after crisis here in the Nordics. And that I want to, so I feel safe, and I view future in a very positive manner.
It sounds beautiful. You paint a very positive picture of tomorrow, full of hope, and thank you very much. I will get back to you later on in the conversation. Thank you, Roleff Kråkström. And now I stand here in the studio with Martin Ärlestig. Hello and welcome, Martin. Welcome to the conversation.
Hello and thank you.
So when you don't spend your days in online discussions with me, what's your role at Komatsu Forest?
My role in Komatsu Forest is to be global responsibility for the production and also taking care of the complete ICT structure within the global structure.
Okay, and you present a really technology-intensive industry, and everywhere where technology comes into picture, things turn a bit upside down. We change working methods, we change business models, how needs are met, manufacturing processes, and so on and so on. And we often talk about this disruptive technologies and transformation. Big giants are falling, opening up for more digital and fast-footed players. For Kodak, for instance, if we remember Kodak today, disruptive technologies were a disaster, of course, but for society it was positive in the long run. And I imagine that what we could similarly talk about today, disruptive societal transformations as a result of the pandemic. Can we talk about that in a positive sense? If you and I stand here in a couple of years, do you think we look back and can highlight some of the positive transformations?
I'm certain about that, because you already now you see a big transformation from big companies, small companies. They are involving more and more with each other and also with the society. I think everybody has been more and more become, realizing that we need to work together to change the world. And the world itself is changing more rapidly than ever. So from that point of view, we need to join each other to see how we can support each other to strive further to an even better world.
And I know that you work together in cross-functional teams or cross-border business partnerships. Can you tell us something about the latest project that you're involved in?
The latest project we're involved in right now is called the Viable Business for the Future. We call it, how we can collaborate between businesses and also society to make sure that we can change our work to get a more sustainable future. And we look at that both from the, energy perspective and the how we can regain environment, materials and so on, but also from a social perspective and a digital perspective. And from that, those areas, I think that when you interact with the different companies, that is both on the regional level and the national level, you can also find out how you can support each other and make the transformation even faster. So from that perspective, we are mixed both with big companies as Volvo to small companies that only have about, 10 or 15 persons. And together, we really changed how we look at things. And we can look at the global perspective instead of just the local for the company.
When you talk about it, it sounds quite easy.
I think most of that's more a transformation for yourself. You need to look at the complete picture, not only from your company. How can I give out something that can give them some more, boost or energy or possibilities? And I can gain back much more because I can get the feedback from them. What are their needs and what are their perspectives? And from that, I can learn and I can also transform my own company.
So that's a basis that makes collaboration works. But how about competition?
But often if you look at the local perspective, you seldom have a competition from that perspective. But we also have a different item. We have, 10 companies that work in the forestry. And we together meet up and have also collaborations. But we can also collaborate on what is the development in the forest. So we don't need to go into the product-wise items. So there is also always an opportunity to make collaborations, no doubt about that.
I also know that you involve the academic part of the society in order to foster tomorrow's workers. So you're working in close collaboration with, for instance, Umeå University as well. And please tell us about...
We try to keep a very close contact with universities because they are always quite a lot of steps before the different companies. Mostly you cannot reach where they are, but you can learn of their methodology, you can learn of the steps they've taken, and you can transform those, both gains and energy back to the companies. And from that you can take much faster steps. And to some extent you can also find a way where you have a similar challenge between the researchers in the university and the companies, and they can join efforts and find a faster way for both parties.
So you have really found a way to make use of the fact that you are situated in the same city as a large university. That's good. Good to hear for me from the university. Thank you for now, and you will also get back later on in the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So now it's time for me to welcome Hannu Mäntymaa, who is the managing director at Wärtsilä in Finland. You have been working for many years within Wärtsilä from the beginning of the millennium, I think, and you have been manager director for a couple of years now. And you represent a really large industry with, I read, 18,000 employees, and you're operating more than 70 countries around the world. Welcome to the conversation. I would like to challenge you one step further. I would like to challenge you one step further and ask you to relate your answer to our audience. As we heard Triinu Varblane say, there are lots of SMEs, smaller companies, small and middle-sized companies in the audience, and you are all business leaders for really large industries and companies. What experiences do you have that you believe can benefit smaller players in terms of creating more sustainable future workplaces?
Thank you, Annakarin, and all for having a possibility to join. First of all, sustainability is extremely important topic and also very inspiring topic. In Wärtsilä, it's really giving the direction and meaning for our people, our work, like our purpose statement says, enabling sustainable societies with smart technology. And that I would like to use here as a starting point, that we need to find our role if we are a large company or a SME, smaller company. Finding the role, what the company has and how to contribute in the sustainable transformation. Like in our case, it's very much linked to the decarbonization of the both marine and energy segments where we are, and the reality there is that no one can do it alone. Even we have the great competencies, technology solutions, and we are and one leader in the both segments. But no one can do it alone. So it requires totally new way of thinking, new way to collaborate, new way to have open innovation. We are investing also the Smart Technology Hub, the new technology center in Vaasa, where we are establishing the new way to collaborate as well. Partner campus being one element. So my advice to SMEs or any companies is really to get activated and find out from your own comfort zone that how can you be collaborating, how can you be contributing this transformation and this exciting journey.
So thank you very much. And if you would step out of your comfort zone to extend your cooperation and collaboration, what would that look like?
Yeah, it's we have been practicing it a bit now during the COVID time last year. Really, when 1 year ago we moved to the remote world and we had to find a way how to collaborate with our customers, how to support our customers in a totally new way. We have actually been learning that it's fully possible. We have been boosting our development, communication, collaboration with customer, being able actually to provide the similar services remotely, for example, for vessels or power plants operating globally, what in the normal times we have done in a traditional way. So in that sense, utilizing the technologies and utilizing competencies also outside our own comfort zone or own company is a one key element to make step changes.
Thank you very much, Hannu. And once again, welcome to this conversation. I will get back to you later as well. Thank you for now. And now the turn has come for me to welcome Anneli Heikkilä. She's a competence development manager at Boliden Kokkola. Hi. When we hear your colleagues who are industry leading and decision makers and leaders, when we hear them talk about the year that has passed, a concept of resilience emerges. And resilience is about resilience, dealing with challenges and with things that feels overwhelming, and also turning challenges into opportunities. And as we hear Martin and Roleff and Katarina and Hannu talk about, can you see examples from your own organization of the emergence or the need of resilience during the past year?
Yes, definitely. And I have very good experiences of that. What resilience is ability to cope with unexpected changes that life brings. And this pandemic is one of these crises that we needed just tackle. But I have experienced that in my workplace, we have tackled this corona crisis very well because of good level of resilience. And having good resilience means that our workers, employees, needs to be able to trust themselves and their abilities. And become more resilient not only helps you to get through difficult circumstances, but it also empowers you to grow and improve in your life. And that requires that as leaders, we build psychological safety. Like Thomas Blomqvist mentioned, that well-being and equality is very important. So I see also that building the psychological safety where everybody can feel themselves safe and happy is very important. I would also say that we can develop the resilience. We can coach people to feel more resilient throughout the psychological safety. And I think for us leaders, it is very important that we believe our workers' skills and competencies and ability even before they do believe in themselves. So I would say that is a very good way of coaching people to feel more resilient.
That was actually my question. It sounds fantastic with the resilience, and something that all organizations wish existed in the culture or in the employees, in the leadership, of course. So that was my question. How do you develop, or how do an organization or an individual increase resilience? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we're going to shift focus a little bit and talk about the environment. You are all profiled in environmental sustainability, and you are all role models, including when it comes to the environment. And we have a young generation that states and urges the development of increased environmental sustainability is too slow. We must sharpen up. Katarina Borstedt, I would like to direct this question to you. Are you with me? What significance does the younger generation have for the industries that you represent? In what ways does the younger generation contribute to inspiring you to an environmental, more sustainable future workplace?
They have a great impact, I would say. I mean, we are now building a new green-based industry in Sweden, but also in Europe, you could say. And the whole drive behind this happening is that we need to change the way that we live, the way that we act, to be able to meet the environmental or sustainability targets that is set up. And that needs to happen now, and it needs to happen fast. So I think the and the energy that comes with the younger generation, that is super important for us to be able to take our responsibility and to move fast. And also, I mean, looking at what we are now trying to achieve, building this new industry from scratch, the greenfield journey that we have been taking on, that is super interesting to see. Also, how can we develop the industrial workplace going forward? How can we change the stereotypes that have been working within the industry? How can we make industry work something that is as natural for females as for men? And how can we ensure that this new generation sees the opportunities in this new workplace and wants to take the opportunity to become technicians, to become engineers, and to see that taking that kind of career path, that is actually a way of changing the world. It is doing more than doing cleaning, sopsortering in Swedish, so to ensure that you throw your stuff in the right pile, and it's more than to just avoid flying to vacation destinations or whatever. This is really contributing to a positive direction for the world.
I read somewhere that you wanted to change the picture of who is the worker in the factory, and you said the picture is that it's a man, it's a very dirty job. Isn't that often so? Isn't that picture correct?
I guess it could be in other industries, maybe. Looking at the industry that we are now establishing, it's quite the opposite. I would say that it's difficult to find a cleaner place than in our factories. It needs to be clean, it needs to be dry to be able to produce batteries with high quality. So if you enter a battery production facility, it's more stepping into a laboratory than to step into a normal shop floor at an industry. So I think, and that also, with that, we also put new expectations on the workers. This is an industry that is built on high automation, it's high technological, and it does not, when it's fully up and running, require heavy lifting and these kind of things. What it requires is detail orientation. It requires that you have a quality mindset. It requires that you can understand the process flow, and you can understand what creates a problem in the line right now. What can I do to be able to solve this? Who should I contact? Should I do something on by myself or solve it in a different way? So it will be something different. And also for us now, building an industry from the start, we have the possibilities also to include career tracks into all the different roles, and also to ensure that this career track does not end up just in one area of the company, but also to open up so that you can move from the shop floor to the more office environment and so on, back and forward. And this is of course a challenge, but it's also a great opportunity. So this is what we are trying to take on.
So I'm curious, how heavily do you think the responsibility rests on your shoulders? You say you build a new factory, you have the possibility to do everything right. You are, and today it's not just talking about environmental sustainability, it's about showing how to act. How heavy is that responsibility that rests on your shoulders right now?
I think that if you want to sell something, you really need to believe in it. I think I'm super proud of the company that I'm representing, because the sustainability aspect is not just something that we put on paper. That is something that is really, it's the base of our existence. And that is something that is shown in everything that we do. The kind of food that we eat when we have a company event, or the type of contracts or relationships that we have with suppliers, or whatever it could be. It's really showing in everything that we do. So I think when you come that far, then it really become true, so to say, what you believe in. So we have of course, a responsibility in this, but we really enjoy also taking lead in this. We are one of the first companies in this kind of establishments, and we also see the opportunities that this brings us, and also the challenges, of course, because it's not that easy to find all the people we need to recruit with the right competences when building a new industry. And we have the time maybe against us a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will get back to the question regarding finding those 3,000 employees to your new factory. I would like to address the same question to Hannu. Are you with me, Hannu? I'm curious to hear your view on how you and your company that you represent can influence others to think and act more sustainable from an environmental point of view. And I can imagine that, yeah, please.
Thank you. This is very inspiring topic, and as I said, we have a purpose statement that is inspiring, first of all, our own people, and putting the drive to keep sustainability actually in the agenda. In more concrete terms, we talk about the decarbonization. And of course, where we have easiest way or best way to impact is in the industries we are playing and doing the business. So meaning the energy where we are having a clear, strong thought leaders and talking about the path towards 100% renewable energy-based world, and also in the marine, where we are driving the decarbonization of the maritime. So we want to join this party and collaborate with the customers who are speaking the same language, having the same thought leadership agenda as well as us, and then also involving the other partners and suppliers, universities. It's all about the collaboration and ecosystem. As already said, no one can do this path and journey alone. So it comes very much on having this clear, strong purpose, and then story and the communication, and then the real actions. That's what we are very much seen as a doers. We are not only talking, but we start to do the things. And that's also where we can actually make the difference and get people on board and to follow.
Thank you very much, Hannu. I will now turn once again to Martin Ärlestig, who is with me here in Umeå, next to the beautiful Umeå Älv. I don't know if you can see, we had ice skaters skating on the ice a couple of minutes ago. Did you see them?
Yeah, I see them.
Yeah.
It's very, very beautiful here. So
it's a nice day in Umeå today. Let's talk a little bit more about the question. I asked Hannu how the company he represents can influence others to think and act more sustainable from an environmental point of view. And we heard him develop his answer around that. And I think I can imagine that there are those who follow our conversation right now in the audience that think it must be easier for you who represent large companies with a lot of capital to invest. You can simply afford to be more environmental sustainable. What would you answer them?
I would say that we have the same opportunity, all of us. We have a background, of course, I represent a big company, and of course the company has big possibilities to do changes. But I think the small company also have a flexibility and also an engagement for their scale. So you don't have to look at the really, really big picture all the time. Make what you can do within your environment and make it today. Please take the steps and you will see that there's success from that also, no doubt.
And what significance do your environmental strategic decisions have from the perspective of economic sustainability? How important is it for you to profile yourself as an environmental sustainable business? What are the gains?
If you look at the short run, there is no gains, it's only costs. But if I look at the long run and I see the change, and as we said before, the rapid change from the world looking at the sustainability. If I don't do this now, I will not be there in 3 or 4 or 5 years. And as me, how to say, in my management position, that's my obligation. Look 3, 5, 10 years ahead and see what is needed then. And then we need to start now.
And what is needed in 10 years?
In 10 years, I think a lot of good items been said today, very good items. And I think if you put them together in one complete box, you can see the major of them. We need to look at the young people. We need to focus on equality. And we need to follow the digital trends to see how can we utilize the complete power from the world to see how can we change our business, our way of thinking. And please dare to take the steps. That's the most vital item.
And what is your next step that you will dare to take?
My next step is right now I'm focusing to move a complete factory. I will move complete operations from one place to another place, and that is occupying all my different work hours at this point. But that's more in the news right now. But for the long run, my big change will be to try to transform our operations to be more sustainable. How can we make these small changes all the time? And of course, I will bring with all the suppliers that we have, and please urge them also to take those steps.
Thank you very much once again. So now we will shift focus once again to another aspect of sustainability that concerns social sustainability. Part of it in turn concerns leadership, cooperation and self-leadership. And we will now focus on that. I would like to invite Anneli Heikkilä from Boliden Kokkola once again. Hello, Anneli.
Hi.
You talked about security and resilience, and that's important. And we heard you say at the beginning of our conversation, and my experience is that leadership in crisis is very much about showing employees trust in a situation where we do not see or have a conclusion, where we don't know what the future sustainable workplaces will bring, because the conditions are turned upside down. We need to show trust, and we need to allow exploration and trust the will and ability of our employees with the knowledge that it might potentially go wrong. Do you recognize yourself in this image of leadership during the corona pandemic?
Oh yes, and I think that we have to utilize resilience and emotional intelligence at workplaces. And I would say that we tend to develop by the example of more experienced ones. So I think it is important that as leaders we act as a role models, because it is important that we show respect, and because it is important that how we treat others, it affects for the psychological safety.
Can we say that new demands are placed on leadership today?
Definitely. People are working remotely, and then there are people working in industrial business where they are at the workplaces. So definitely it has changed. And we have to create the psychological safety, even though remotely. And we have to give the support that is needed when they're working in the industrial. Yes.
How about the co-workers? Are new demands placed on them as well?
Yes, and I think that everybody needs to have right skills and competencies, and we have to, it's our responsibility to make sure to take care that they have all the skills and competencies they need. And I would say, for example, that mentoring is one very successful way to improve people's skills and competencies, where they can share the knowledge. Mentor, maybe more experienced one, can share their knowledge and skills for someone who is just new or learning the new position. Yes.
Thank you very much, Anneli. I would like to invite Roleff Kråkström once again into the conversation. Roleff, Katarina states that new demands are placed on leadership. Do you recognize her reasoning? Has your own leadership been affected, or have other managers within Moomin Characters been affected? If so, how?
I think actually that our younger colleagues and the new generation has been affected much more, because if you think of the younger co-workers that you have, they are in a completely different life situation. They have been groomed into a completely new set of values. They're much more digital savvy and native than us. And I think quite a few of us have been raised by parents who carry a sort of post-war narrative, which is actually quite well adjusted to crisis, whereas young generation don't find their ideals, their sort of leadership models in that narrative at all. I think honestly that I've been less affected as the CEO. I don't perhaps portray myself as a leader. It's a very dangerous term to use, I think. I think your possible leadership should always be defined by others. I try to avoid the word. But to answer your question, I think the younger generation is much more effective and affected by or effective in this crisis and affected by than the typical CEO of or boss of any entity, or our decision makers in the political realm, for that matter.
Self-leadership is also a current, often used concept today, the art of leading oneself forward. In what way has the self-leadership of your employees been affected, do you think, by the last year? Have we placed greater demands on them? Has it become visible who's standing when others fall? How do you relate to it or act on it as a leader? Now I call you a leader.
I think it has very much to do with clarity, because since there is no work community, there is no workplace as we've seen it the last decades, because you can't go to your workplace. It's not perceived safe to travel with public transport or have big amounts of people in one place. I think everything in a way falls back on self-leadership. The only thing an appointed director of a company can do is to try to be as clear as possible. I think the how should I say, clearest and safest moments as CEO of Moomin Characters has been when I've been able to communicate clearly that no one is allowed at the office. We've had certain periods and holidays when it's very clear and easy to say what's going to happen next, which is nothing. And other than that, everything has been very diffuse. So I have to assume that people lead themselves and each other in a completely new way. And it's absolutely 100% based on trust and faith. So I think the companies that prevail, and the term resilience has been used a lot today already, but the resilient companies that do prevail during this pandemic, I think will have an increased amount of trust between the people working still.
I heard you earlier today in the press conference, and you talked about your needs within the cultural and creative industries, and you said that we have the possibility to work from everywhere, anywhere, and right now we must, we cannot go to our workplaces. And then you said within your industry, it's important to get together. The importance of the workplace became very evident for you. You told us during the conference, and you said it was important for your industry, the cultural and creative industry. Do you think it's special for your industry, or is it the same for many industries? Are your industry unique in any way?
You can then dement everything I say, but I think there are unique qualities to the cultural field because people deposit their relationship to art very close to their heart, whereas people consume many other things. And there's nothing wrong with consumption. I do consume things as well, but I deposit my relationship to art very close to my heart. And also, if you think about theater, bookshops, going to a concert, participating in a festival, it's very much about communicating who you are, what you stand for. Wearing a Moomin t-shirt or sporting a Moomin tattoo tells about the values you carry. I've heard said that one of the most common reasons to buy a book, which sounds absurd, but it's supposed to be true, is that you've already read it. So you don't only want to sort of consume the contents of a book, you want people to see it in your bookshelf. You want to be seen in a theater. You want to go to the bookshop and communicate that you belong to the part of the population who do so. So it's very strong communication about who you really are.
Thank you very much, Roleff Kråkström. Now it's time to listen to Jutta Urpilainen. Today we have talked about sustainability, about environmental sustainability, about social, and thus also about economic sustainability. Or how is the relationship between environmental, social and economic sustainability. And now it's time to listen to Jutta Urpilainen, who is the Commissioner for International Partnership at the European Commission. Unfortunately, Jutta could not be with us today. At the last minute she was prevented, but she has instead sent her video and her greeting to us, ladies and gentlemen, Jutta Urpilainen.
Dear friends, thank you for giving me the opportunity to create your event. You are not the only ones debating future and sustainable workplaces. This is a global debate as COVID-19 has pushed back the development of recent years. Now we need to build back better. My own portfolio as the Commissioner for International Partnerships includes working with the EU's 126 partner countries. With these countries, we work together towards green, digital, fair and resilient world. I want to thank everyone involved in the Future Cleantech Solutions project, as I know how it contributes to the same goal of global green future. For the EU, international partnerships means not only cooperating with like-minded countries, but also with civil society and more increasingly with private sector. The demand for financing for development is increasing. Public resources are not enough if we truly aim to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We need more private investments. We need innovations to accelerate the change for better. Dear friends, the challenges we are facing are significant. We have to tackle the climate change, adapt ourselves to the new technologies, and fight the growing inequalities. These inequalities erode the foundation of all development. For example, by leaving women and girls behind, we are not using the full potential of our societies and our collective human capital. Therefore, I am committed to fighting inequalities during my mandate as European Commissioner. We will put women and girls at the heart of our transition to more sustainable societies. This is a shared challenge. In Europe, we also have still a lot to do. We must not take gender equality for granted, not even in the Nordic countries. When something becomes too self-evident, remaining injustices are easily overlooked. We have to work for equality and full participation for inclusive society every day. Dear friends, I am very glad that today, for the first time in Ostrobothnia, you are rewarding a company that has been consistently advancing gender equality. I firmly believe that promoting equality results in not only public recognitions, but also better working environment, customer satisfaction and businesses outcomes. With these words, I congratulate today's winner. Now I let Annakarin take charge and you to enjoy rest of the event.
Thank you very much, Jutta Urpilainen. Yes, we heard Jutta say that we have to put women and girls in focus even more, and that we have to work together for equality and full participation for inclusive society every day. Now we have reached the point in our program where the first prize winner will be crowned, and by my side, to my help, I once again have Thomas Blomqvist. Hi and welcome back.
Thank you.
Thomas, from your perspective, what does such an award mean for business, for Nordic cooperation and cooperation in general?
Well, I think the award is an important way of rewarding and encouraging the work towards more sustainable workplaces and more sustainable future. And I think the winner and all the nominees are inspirational examples of the impact of strategic decisions and even the little things in everyday life that they can have at the workplace and in society as a whole. And I hope to see many more companies getting inspired and joining the work towards these goals in the future. And I hope this reward will help us in that. And after all, sustainability and equality are a really win-win thing for all of us.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Let's take a closer look at the award and the 6 nominees. First of all, I would like to say that the award is given by the Regional Council of Ostrobothnia, the Ostrobothnia Work Group for Gender Equality, from Dynamo Närpes, Kristinestads näringslivscentral, Kust Österbottens företagare, Jakobstads Region Development Company Concordia, Technology Centre MERINOVA, Vaasa Region Development Company, Vasek Viexpo, and the Ostrobothnia Chamber of Commerce. And the background to the prize Equality Company of the Year in Ostrobothnia is as follows. When a workplace makes efforts to improve gender equality, employee well-being increases. Companies that keep equality in mind have a better chance to develop faster, being more innovative, and can often be more profitable. The award for the Gender Equality Company of the Year in Ostrobothnia will be given to focus on an honor companies that are actively trying to be more equal. The award will be given to a company where diversity in the work environment is valued, equally seen as an important asset that is managed carefully. The company is a good place to work for all people, regardless of gender, age, ethnicity, language, religion, disability, health status, and sexual orientation. We currently have 6 nominated companies, and the nominees are CTEC, who said, "We would be honored to win Årets jämställdhetsföretag as it provides that our company culture works in practice and that our systematic work is appreciated. The prize belongs to all citizens." Devatus. The award would convey the message that we have built the company on a strong, healthy, and transparent base. Fresh. This competition is important because it reminds the organizations to remember the importance of diversity. Those companies that do well can act as examples for others. Gambit. Winning the prize would be a recognition of our work promoting diversity and equality on a daily basis. Närpes grönsaker. If we win the award, it gives us additional fuel to develop our organization and staff well-being, motivation, and employer branding with our motto, "Produced by Champions." Vilbe. We hope that our initiatives will inspire other firms to join us in our cause to make this community an even better place to live. And the winner is Thomas. I think that we can agree that all these 6 companies are fantastically inspiring and important companies and role models. And now we have announced the winners, but I would also like to take the opportunity to congratulate, of course, all the nominees. Being nominated is a win in itself. Over to you, Thomas.
Thank you. Yes, very impressing companies and good nominees, and very my congratulations to all the nominees and of course to the winner, Gambit. The company of the year is, as we heard in Ostrobothnia, is Gambit Labs. The award is given for the first time, and almost 30 companies from all over Ostrobothnia were nominated. Gambit is an ET company based in Vaasa with almost 40 employees. The jury motivates its choice with the extensive work Gambit has done to build a good and diverse work environment. The company has really made an effort to increase the well-being of its employees. Gambit has also purposefully acted to increase the share of female staff and actively encouraged women to join the male-dominated ET sector. The staff members have different cultural backgrounds, which is considered a fantastic resource. The jury gives honorable mentions to the following companies: Citek, De Vatus, Fresh Servant, Andelslaget Närpes Grönsaker, and Wilpe. These companies have promoted equality and diversity by taking concrete measures which can easily be adapted in other companies and organizations. Unfortunately, I cannot physically hand over the prize in Vaasa today, but I have been promised some help by Kai Suomela. Thank you for lending a hand today. I want to congratulate the winner and all the nominees.
In English.
Yeah.
Yeah, and microphone.
I'm so glad to reward this historical gender prize to your company Gambit. I've been following you all these 10 years that you have existed, and I'm also personally very proud of the work you have been doing all these years. And now I would like to ask, as usually always in a competition, how does it feel and what does it mean for you, this prize?
I personally feel really great. I think that this is something that we know that we have a good value base. Our founding values are having a great workplace, inclusive, giving space for people to express their minds and be respected for that. And getting this external, this prize is something that I cherish very much, and it feels even more real right now. So hope to be a good role model for other companies in this region as well. What about you, Hanna?
Yes, I also feel great. This is a very nice prize to get.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome!
It's time to celebrate.
Yeah, and good luck for the future.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Awesome.
Once again, congratulations, Gambit. I hope you feel the digital applause and cheers that hail over you. We are many who rejoice with you right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to once again highlight our drawer, Linda Saukko-Rauta, who was born in Vaasa and she has been studying in Umeå actually. I would like to see, I'm really curious to see how you have interpreted this conference. Do you want to show us, Linda?
Image here that I've created. Hopefully you can see it.
Thank you. Now we see it. So was there anything that was particularly challenging?
Well, not that much. I mean, usually when I draw these kind of presentations or events, sustainability is often mentioned, but perhaps in a sort of short sentence in a way. But now this was cool because the whole event was about equality and sustainability. So I might have wandered off a bit with the special storylines here of rising from the ashes type of and wizards and that stuff. So hopefully you enjoy watching the picture.
Thank you very much, Linda. I'm really impressed by your work. And for all of you in the audience, you will get the picture sent to you after the webinar has ended. I think they will send it to you by email. Thank you very much, Linda. And thank you all. It has been a great pleasure that I have been able to share this day with you, to be involved in handing out the first prize for equal entrepreneurship and to be involved in discussing the sustainable workplaces of the future together with experienced and wise business leaders and decision makers who also have been challenged to take the next step, who have been challenging you to take the next step towards a future of sustainable workplaces. I want to thank Anneli Heikkilä, Jutta Urpilainen, Katarina Borstedt, Martin Ärlestig, Roleff Kråkström, Thomas Blomqvist, and I want to wish you many thanks and good luck with your important work. I also want to thank you in the audience who have been following our conversation. For you, there is an opportunity to give feedback quickly and easily, and the instructions will follow also in an email together with Linda's interpretation. Thanks also to you organizers who gave me the opportunity to lead the conversation today. Thank you very much.